Welcome back to my series, Dance Mums Unedited. This is the series where I discuss production notes written by the producers of Dance Mums. They show us things that happen behind the scenes that we don't get to see in the episodes themselves. Today we'll be looking at Season 5, Episode 10. As always, there will be a link in the description box below which will take you to a PDF of these notes, so you can read through them in further detail. Because there was more to this episode than the producers cared to show. The week begins at the front desk of the ALDC, with Gianna greeting the girls and mums. Ashley and Bryn enter, having travelled to Pittsburgh to join the ALDC this week. Ashley explains that Bryn wants to be here, and asks if the other mums think that Abby will hold it against Bryn for staying at the Maddie B video shoot. The mums laugh, joking that recently, it's been like the situation never happened. Melissa brags about Mackenzie's experience singing on Good Day New York. The other mums are very happy for her, and talk about an opportunity that Maddie and Kendall had to host an event recently. This day just so happened to be Kendall's 12th birthday, and everyone wishes her a happy birthday. Melissa receives a call from Bridget, who talks about the drama happening over at Candy Apples. She explains that she is the outsider on that team, and reveals that the Morales kids are joining them this week. To the shock of most of the mums, she also tells them that Erin Babs will be choreographing their routine. Kira claims that she had seen on social media that Erin would be choreographing, and that she forgot to tell the other mums about it. The mums are surprised that Erin would work with Candy Apples again, considering that the last time they worked together, Kathy pulled their number. In Pyramid, Abby welcomes Bryn, saying that she's an Abby dancer who has it all, other than performance skills, dance history, and theatre knowledge. Abby applauds Kalani for winning in the teen division and the overalls for her solo. She says that getting Kalani to go see Broadway shows will make her realise that she needs to work on many different styles of dance. She tells Jojo that she didn't stand out in the group dance last week, saying that this was a good thing. She then informs Mackenzie that although her ability to comprehend choreography is amazing for her age, she still looks too small on stage, making her seem out of place. Abby gushes over Kalani's solo performance, but announces that she may not always be in the group dances moving forward. Kira takes issue with this, saying this is clearly not what they signed up for, and that it's not okay. Abby says, "It's okay for me." Melissa asks Kalani if she's alright with it, and Kalani nods her head in agreement. Abby tells everyone that Kalani is also on top of the pyramid this week for not being a brat when she was pulled from the group routine. The mums are upset that Kalani got special treatment by being allowed to dress up with the group. They're probably referencing the fact that Kalani was still able to perform in the second unjudged version of the routine, even though in the past some of the girls were pulled from both routines. Abby rambles about the perks of being in New York, explaining all the benefits of being a Broadway star. She tells Kalani that she is still able to learn these things, whether she's in the group dances or not. Jess tries to throw Melissa under the bus by telling Abby that Bridget called her. The two mums bicker, with Abby reminding Melissa that she's not allowed to divulge their information to other studios. Abby announces to everyone that she will be meeting them in New Jersey, because she will be flying to New York first for some me time. She suggests that Nia should bring her crown and sash to share talent, hinting that this is an obvious thing to do, and that she failed to do it last time they attended Sheer Talent. Holly defends Nia when Abby suggests that since Nia didn't smile or look like she was listening to Abby, she was being disrespectful. But Abby says that she just meant that they should always have them on hand, just in case. In group rehearsals, Abby tells Kendall not to let Bryn, some girl from across the country, come in and be placed in front of her in the dance. Upstairs, Jill is unsettled that Abby called Bryn an Abby dancer. Holly is still angry that Abby scolded Nia for keeping a straight face in Pyramid. She recalls all the things that Abby has done to Nia so far in the season, citing them as reasons why Nia keeps a stoic face when dealing with Abby. Ashley asks the mums why they believe Abby specifically choreographs solos based on who she wants to win. The mums defend their position by comparing the choreography of previous solos. Holly gives Kira credit for standing up to Abby and insisting that Kalani should be in the group dances. The mums are surprised to hear Kira add that if Abby doesn't listen to her, she might just go home. The mums begin gossiping about Kathy's craziness, her style, and most disturbingly, her waistline increasing. That is such a horrible thing to make fun of, and it definitely wouldn't fly today. Jess and the other mums decide to bring up Kira's custody rumours again, and she yells at them to shut up. Back in the studio, Abby tells Bryn that she has inspired her to be a better teacher. She is so happy to work on Bryn's solo that she says that she may not have the time to work on Maddie's solo. When Bryn steps out of the room, the old Abby returns. She tells Maddie not to ruin her legacy and to focus on being first. When Abby asks Maddie if she is inspired or threatened by Bryn, she says both. Kira claims that she's going down to the studio to talk to Abby about a Pilates class, but instead she asks what she has to do to ensure that Kalani dances. Abby replies that if she's ever not in the groups, Kalani will have a solo, duet, or trio instead. She adds that Kalani is the next person in line to be assisting Gianna with choreography, insisting that Kira needs to let Abby do her thing. Ashley is then called into the studio, and Abby gushes about Bryn's God-given gifts. She tells Ashley that as a parent, she has a responsibility to nourish that gift. I take issue with the idea that just because a child is good at something, they must continue to do it, even against their own wishes, especially when that activity involves sacrificing their own childhood or putting them in a toxic environment. Jill complains in the viewing room that new dancers are allowed to come in and train at the ALDC, and yet the ALDC kids aren't allowed to get training anywhere else. Holly agrees, thinking it's ridiculous the way that Abby goes way over the top praising kids that she hasn't even trained. When Kira exits the viewing room, Jess reveals to the other mums that Kira wants to leave her daughter for a few days to spend time with her boyfriend. She is confused as to why Kira would leave Kalani behind with her and Jojo. After Ashley steps out, the mums say that she seems like a great mum. It's crazy how quickly their opinion of her changed in season 6. Over at Candy Apples, Kathy claims that she has gathered tons of information about Abby. She says that it's the perfect time to strike. Bridget tries to throw Jo Morales under the bus, saying that she attended Abby's open call auditions. Kathy says that she already knew this, and that she was the one who sent them to spy on Abby. The other mums, Vida and Meredith, tell Kathy that they felt abandoned by her. Kathy claims that she needed time after season 4 nationals to think about things. She wasn't entirely sure whether or not to ask Bridget back, since she spent a lot of time communicating with their rival. Kathy reveals that Mackenzie and Gavin are frontrunners for solos this week for taking Abby's punishment at her open call auditions. She says that Mackenzie has something to prove after the open call fiasco. This seems to confirm the story that Jo explained on Tumblr, saying that a video was taken of Mackenzie saying a bad word, which was then shown to Abby. In this scene, she claims that someone leaked horrible information about Mackenzie to Abby. She accuses Bridget of doing it, and Bridget accuses Jo of doing it herself for attention. Jo explains that Melissa even hugged her afterwards, as though she had no part to play in showing Abby the leaked information. Bridget continues to deny being in contact with the ALDC. Meredith tells her that she was there when it happened. Bridget becomes furious, using the word transvestite in an attempt to insult Jo. On her way out, Bridget calls Melissa. She tells her that she has their back when the Candy Apples insult the ALDC, and confirms that she wants to be on their team. She reveals information about their dancers this week, and Melissa tells her that they've added Jojo and Bryn to the team. Before wrapping for the day, Kathy discusses a rumour that Abby has part ownership over sheer talent, and thus has influence over the results. This would honestly not surprise me, given the fact that Abby is such good friends with the competition owner, and Gianna is on faculty there. It's also crazy just how much Abby wins there, both on and off the show. The next day, the ALDC mums discuss a video of Mackenzie Morales using inappropriate words. Meanwhile, the girls are alone in the den. Nia and Kendall are the only ones missing, but Mackenzie clarifies that they're late because they are at school. Maddie tries to figure out why Holly and Abby are fighting every single week. The girls agree that they wish their mums didn't fight with Abby. Abby sends the girls into the studio, aside from Kalani. She tells her that Kira is driving her nuts, and asks Kalani to bring her mother back to reality. Abby says that she has what Kalani needs to be taught. Kalani tells her, as long as I'm dancing, I'm okay. She's just a little crazy. Abby informs her that if she isn't dancing, Kalani will be assisting Gianna, which she seems to be quite happy about. In Bryn's solo rehearsal, Abby has to change the dance, because it seems that her choreography is too fast for Bryn to execute. Bryn is struggling to hit everything on time. The soloists perform for the other girls to judge, but Jojo is the only one who critiques Bryn. Kalani enters the viewing room to talk to her mum. She tells her that if she is not in the group dance every week, she doesn't want to be here. The mums discuss the option of Kalani and Nia being pulled from numbers on a rotational basis, but they can't be sure that Nia would be given solos, duets or trios during the weeks that she would sit out. Kira confirms that if Kalani keeps getting pulled, she and Kalani will head home. She claims that she doesn't want Kalani competing anyway, saying that it's Abby's training that they want. The mums talk about Holly and Abby's tension, saying that they feel sorry that Holly won't even try to communicate with Abby and find a resolution. Jill says that the whole thing isn't fair to Nia. As the mums talk about Abby complimenting Bryn, Holly enters the viewing room. The mums question why Holly is convinced that Abby is intentionally trying to exclude Nia. Then they all discuss an 8-year-old dancer who Abby has been trying to get to join the team. Ashley decides to tell Kira what Jess claimed the previous day about sending off Kalani without any money. Jess says that she was just offended that Kira didn't even ask if it was alright with her, and just assumed that Jess would take Kalani. Kira admits that she is willing to send Kalani and her son off if it means she can spend more time with her boyfriend. The girls spend time in a ballet class to work on their technique for the group dance. Abby leaves the teacher alone to instruct the class. Meanwhile, Melissa explains that she got another text from Bridget, who claimed that she was almost hit. Melissa decides to call Bridget, who plays the victim. The ALDC seems to feel bad for her. Jill is surprised that Mackenzie has a solo, saying, "They think Kenzie is going to beat our girls?" Abby goes up to the viewing room to interrupt the phone call. Jill tells her why all the mums were ganging up on Kira, and Abby says that it's perfectly okay to send your kid away without any money. When Abby leaves, Kira argues that Kalani had access to a debit card when she travels, but she just can't remember the PIN. Jess and Ashley think that she's a liar. Things go from tense to insane over at Candy Apples. The day begins with Mackenzie running through her solo. Everyone seems very supportive, besides Bridget, who seems very critical. Kathy asks Bridget to show some enthusiasm, and Jo mutters that she's closer to the ALDC than to her own team. Kathy reveals that she knows Bridget called Melissa, which Bridget denies. Jo stands up, getting into Bridget's face, but Erin breaks it up. Bridget tries to speak with her son, but Lucas is embarrassed and doesn't want to speak to her. He and Kathy have a heart-to-heart in another room. She tells him that she is the anti-Abby and would never take out her frustrations with his mum on him. She says that she loves having him on the team, even if he's trashed her on social media before. Lucas apologises, saying that his mum runs his Twitter sometimes, and that she was the one who insulted her. Bridget begins accusing the mums of being rude to Lucas by instructing their kids not to play with him. The producers note that the kids have actually been getting along very well, especially Mackenzie and Lucas. Jo gets in Bridget's face again, screaming at her to throw a punch at her. She says that Bridget asked to borrow $2,500 from her because she couldn't hold down a job. Later that day, Bridget declares that Vida and Meredith are even more disgusting than Jo, since they assume that she was guilty without even hearing her side of the story. She brings up Meredith's child, which she no longer has custody of. Meredith becomes incredibly upset. Bridget screams that she and Lucas are leaving, but Lucas tells her that he wants to be here. Back at the ALDC, everyone is excited that Abby isn't on the bus. The mums speculate that Abby's secret boyfriend will be her bodyguard at the competition this week. Arriving at the competition, Kathy whips out a megaphone. To drown out her voice, the ALDC girls chant Abby's name. Kathy and Jo enter the ALDC green room. Kathy asks if Abby's security guard is her boyfriend, which infuriates Abby. In response, she storms out of her own dressing room. She then rips off her microphone and blames production for getting Kathy to call her out on Geordie. She begins to search for him. Then she returns to the green room, and the girls prepare for their solos. Mackenzie Morales leaves the Candy Apples dressing room to prepare for her solo, but returns moments later in tears because Abby confronted her in the hallway. Jo screams at Abby from the ALDC doorway, and then storms back to the Candy Apples dressing room to yell at Bridget for starting the whole mess. Jojo steps out into the hallway to find Lucas crying. He is frustrated that his team keeps saying negative things about his mum. Jojo says that she can relate to being the new kid. Kira begins insulting Kathy, calling her a gay slur. Jill laughs, asking which woman Kira is referring to, Kathy or Jo. Abby warns her soloists not to fraternise with any of the teams backstage. I've always thought this rule was way over the top. Why should Abby dictate who her team can and can't be friends with? When Maddie mentioned this rule in her Cosmopolitan article last year, Abby denied even saying it. Well, here's the proof. Maddie is the first to perform her solo. Bridget is the only Candy Apples mum who claps after her performance, so Abby thanks her for having some class. Then Mackenzie performs a solo entitled Come To Me. Her jazz solo isn't well received by the ALDC mums, who don't seem intimidated in the slightest. Last to dance is Bryn. There is apparently a bobble in her routine, which Abby seems to notice. Over at the Candy Apple's dressing room, Kathy says that it's unfair that Maddie, who is now a professional dancer, is still allowed to compete at the amateur level. She refers to Abby's bodyguard as her rent-a-boyfriend. Back in the green room, Melissa is infuriated that the Candy Apple's mums didn't clap for Maddie. The other mums agree that it's rude. Jill tells Ashley that Bryn could have done her solo much better than what she did on stage. Ashley agrees. The mums discuss the fact that last night they rehearsed their group dance at the hotel, but Kalani was nowhere to be found. Kira explains that Kalani spent her evening choreographing a routine for a young girl. Holly informs her that it's against the ALDC contract to do that, but Kira says her contract said nothing of the sort. Kira insists that the girls never told Kalani that they were rehearsing the group. Holly is irritated, pointing out that she is still in Abby's bad graces for taking an opportunity in LA that went against her contract. And yet Kira can do the same with no consequences. Jill asks Kira if Abby got 10% of the money that Kalani got for the job, since technically it's a dance job. Kira says that if Abby wants $10, she can have it. Abby enters the room, questioning Kira why she would make Kalani choreograph a routine when Kalani stated that she didn't want to do it. Kira says that she didn't want to cancel something that was already scheduled, and Abby begins to rant about everything she thinks is wrong with girls her age teaching privates. The girls claim that the Candy Apple's dancers were being disrespectful and obnoxious backstage. This is when Bridget enters, wishing the ALDC good luck, only to be caught by Kathy. This is such an obvious and cringy setup by the producers. They clearly told Bridget to go into the ALDC dressing room and then sent Kathy in to catch her in the act. Despite the arguing around them, the girls start to rehearse the group dance. When the rival mums leave, Abby and Gianna giggle and sing along to the group dance song. Abby and the girls exit the green room, and the mums discuss Abby's good mood. Jess theorises that it's the bodyguard that's making her happy. Kalani gives the girls a pep talk backstage, and then they perform Dance in the Rain. During the Candy Apple's routine, Erin Babs seems disappointed with the execution of her choreography. At awards, Nia and Kenzie Ziegler step out in nice dresses. They are given the honour of handing out awards. Maddie places first in the preteen solo division, and first place in the overall solos. Bryn places second place in the preteen solo division. Mackenzie Morales doesn't place at all. The ALDC group dance wins first in the preteen group and overall group divisions. Candy Apples wins second place in the preteen and overall group divisions. Melissa and Jill scurry into the Candy Apples green room to take the megaphone. Abby congratulates the girls on a clean sweep. The girls play with the megaphone and chant things over to the Candy Apples dressing room. Abby invites Jojo back for another week. She tells Bryn that she will be invited back after next week so that they can make arrangements to stay with the team for the long term. She tells Jojo to bring a list of 3 things that she has learned during her time at the ALDC. She tells the other girls to bring a list of reasons why Bryn and Jojo should be part of the team, and things that they need to work on. Ashley is thrilled that Bryn seems to have been asked back for the rest of the season. Kathy spots Lucas in the hallway and tries to speak with him, but Lucas wants her to leave him alone. The week concludes with Bridget and Lucas leaving the competition, and the other Candy Apples team members appearing exhausted and upset. And with that, we've reached the end of episode 10. Are you surprised by all the Candy Apples drama that was hidden off screen? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!